All right, guys, welcome back to Downtown Rams. As always, I'm Alexis Kraft, joined here with my co host Jake Ellenbogen, and we are coming to you tonight live to preview our matchup against the Indianapolis Colts this Sunday at SoFi Stadium. Coming off of our loss to Philadelphia, brutal, Jake. We talked about it last episode. We are not going to dwell too much on that loss this episode because this episode is all about previewing our matchup against the Indianapolis Colts. But obviously, there was a lot of lessons learned in that game, a lot of hard lessons that the Rams need to be aware of this Sunday. Jake, what's your vibe? What's your vibe going into this matchup?
Yeah, my vibe going into this matchup is that I don't think anybody, and I mean, I could be wrong here. We'll find out with the Indianapolis Colts this weekend, but I don't feel like anybody could beat the Rams this week coming off a loss like that. I titled our show tonight, "Are the Rams about to go on a tear or fold?" I think it's between those two. The Rams are going to show us what they're made of. And to me, I only see one way this is going, and it's going to be on a tear. I expect the Rams to win this game. I expect the Rams to beat the 49ers when I'm out there Thursday. Hope to see some of you out there. And I expect the Rams to beat the Ravens and Jaguars and end, their pre-bye run with only one loss. So maybe I'm just way too positive, but I feel like a lot of people looked at that Eagles game the wrong way, especially like the mainstream. They looked at it like, oh, good teams don't blow leads like that. Well, I beg to differ because they absolutely stifled the Eagles in the first half. And then the second half, yeah, things went awry, but it took them until the final 2 minutes to finally gain the lead. And in addition to that, they needed some fluky things to happen. And I'm not saying that the Rams don't deserve to have that happen because they just didn't execute the kicking operation well. But that said, how many games do you have blocked kicks like that back to back? You just don't. So there were some things that normally don't happen in an everyday NFL game that happened. And that's everything led to the Rams losing in the final seconds. But let's not forget, the Rams offensive operation did a great job going down the field and gave Josh Carty a very makeable field goal. And we know Carty would have been able to drill it, but he didn't get the opportunity because his guys up front failed him. So this week, going up against a red-hot Colts team, 3-0, I can tell you, after watching all 3 games on all 22, this team is absolutely legit. Daniel Jones is legit. I think it's really making the Giants look bad, but Daniel Jones, I don't think, was the issue in New York. And I think everything that he's learned from that, he's applied to his time with Indy, but also Indy has a better offensive line, actually one of the better offensive lines in football. And I think it's allowed him to really thrive. Now, they'll be without Matt Goncaves, if I butchered his name, I apologize, their right guard. That's significant. So I'm very curious to see how that adds up. And then also in the secondary, it's been a really good secondary early on. You can throw on them, though, but their big loss is Kenny Moore, who's one of the best nickel corners in all of football. He is going to be out of this one. So Mike Hilton, who has familiarity with Lou Anarumo, the defensive coordinator, who the Rams saw in the Super Bowl, he's likely going to play those snaps. And then back on the offensive side, Alec Pierce, who's given teams fits because of just that, overall that size, but also the speed combination. He's out with a concussion. So these are 3 significant injuries, 3 significant absences for the Indianapolis Colts. But I think this team's legit, Alexis, and I don't think the Rams are going to overlook it, and I don't think the fans should be overlooking them either.
Yeah, I mean, listen, this team is 3-0. They have to be taken seriously. Real quick, I am going to let everyone know I'm having pretty bad tech issues. So if I start to cut out, Jake, just feel free to take it where I left off and just don't
I
mind
got you.
me and chat. If things start to get weird, let me know. I apologize. I don't know what's going on because my Wi-Fi speed and connection is perfect according to my tester. So who knows?
We love that.
But Jake, yeah, I mean, it's not a DTR episode without ghosts, right?
Nope.
They have to do something to stress us out. But Jake, looking at this game, I want to look at our game plan offensively because as we talked about when we recapped the game against the Eagles, I mean, it was our offense really that was stifled, and that you know wasn't able to score in the red zone, right? There was a lot of points that we should have had. There's touchdowns we felt we should have had. We weren't able to get it done. So this is something that needs to change, starting with this game against the Colts. So looking at our offense, Jake, you know, I would really like to see the run game more balanced. I felt like against the Eagles, we showed that at times, and then the run game was completely abandoned. And we talked about that last episode as well, where, Kyron and Blake were getting it done on the ground. And it's been really interesting and really satisfying to see how they differentiate between Kyron and Blake in the run game, which I'll let you elaborate on because you break that out really, really nicely here in a second.
Oh, thank
But
you.
it's been nice to see kind of the way that they're balancing the two different skill sets of the running backs. Also, something else we talked about is diversifying who we're throwing to, right? Almost all the passes are going to Puka Nacua and Devontae Adams. We have other receivers. We have other guys that need to get involved because teams are going to pick up on very quickly if we are only throwing to Nacua and Adams, and we started to see that against Philadelphia. So Jake, I would like to hear your thoughts on this kind of diversified run game that we're seeing from the Rams that we haven't seen in the past, and kind of how they're using Kyron and Blake. But I also want to hear your thoughts, if you agree that the passing attack needs to expand and that we can't just keep feeding Nacua and Adams.
I feel like this whole week I've been talking about everything you just said. I made a video on diversifying the receiving room. I made multiple videos, the offensive line, and then I didn't make a video on Kyron and Corum. I figure I'll let that breathe a little bit. Let's wait until they both, start putting some games together. But with that said, I think these two complement each other very well. Corum's been asked to lose weight. Kyron's been asked to gain weight. Because of that, you're seeing Kyron run through some tackles that I just don't think he would have run through last year. You see that Eagles game. I mean, he's running through tackles where it's not an arm tackle. I mean, he really, was making plays. And, Kyron is one of the better running backs that doesn't get credit. And Blake Corum is emerging in this offense. And so what they do is, Kyron is more of the gap guy, right? So the gap, the duo runs that they like to run, the inside runs for people that don't want to get into the specifics. Inside has been Kyron. Outside has been Blake Corum. Now, you could make the argument it's a little unfair to Kyron because the outside stuff has been, a little bit easier, right? But that is exactly why, it's like putting your number one receiver out there. You're putting him out there going up against likely the number one corner because you want the number one receiver because he's more likely to win. I feel like it's no different. Kyron Williams is more likely to win in the interior. He's more likely to win in those tougher assignments than Blake Corum. Corum is basically a rookie. I mean, I know this is his second year, but he didn't play enough, in my opinion, last year to really call him a rookie. So I know he's not, but I'm going to basically look at him as he is. And Corum now just doesn't really have to think about anything. They could just, hey, we're going to stretch run this to the left or to the right. And now it's an outside zone run. And, he's able to thrive there. He's able to use his speed and pick up the first down. And then, also I like what they've done a little bit, with Kyron Williams and just showing a little bit that they might use him a little bit more this year in the passing attack. But yeah, I think those guys, this is going to be a little tough for Kyron. And here's why. The Colts are really not allowing much in the interior. They're giving up a lot on the outside. So is that a Blake Corum day? I disagree. I think if they don't have it with Kyron, I think they're going to stick with Kyron and let him have some of those outside runs as well. They're going to do whatever works, but I think both guys can complement each other well. And I think the way the Rams run blocking operation has been probably one of the best in the NFL, rated the second best according to PFF. I don't really think they're going to have an issue. I know the stats indicate, they're not great, running in between the tackles, in between the guards in center, when you're going up against the Colts. But I just think this Rams team is better than anything they've faced so far. So I think they'll be able to run however they want to run. And that's pretty much what I would say there. Now, I understand, the Colts have some guys there, right? They have a Grover Stewart, who's one of the better run defenders in the league in the interior. You go out and you get a Neville Gallimore, who is a free agent from the Rams. DeForest Buckner. I don't have to tell you guys about DeForest Buckner. Laiatu Latu on the outside does a really nice job, but really all over the place, whether he drops into coverage, He could stop the run. He can rush the passer. Samson Ebukam. They have a lot of guys. Tyquan Lewis, right? Kwity Paye. So this Colts defensive front is a problem. But with that said, I'm very excited because the Rams are going to have Steve Avila. And if you guys saw that video I made about the offensive lineman, Steve Avila is going to be like Christmas. I'll say this. He had an issue staying healthy from last year, right? Played every game his rookie year. The good news is that I can tell you those 16 reps he played when I went back and I watched him, that was Steve Avila from his rookie year. So that, I believe they're going to get that level player. And if they do, and I'm right on this, it's going to make Coleman Shelton's job easier, which I think he's been a little underrated this year. Alaric Jackson's been their best offensive lineman by far. And then Kevin Dotson can kind of just slide right in there. And now you have your starting five. You're back to where you were, but now it's, not really just having guys come in and out, because it's been hard on your center who has been playing with different left guards and right guards every single game. So this is huge for the Rams, and I do think it's going to bode well against a tough Colts defensive front.
Yeah, I'm really excited to see this offensive line a bit more healthy, playing with much more chemistry and protecting Matthew Stafford. I think as we've just seen so far this season, it's been a little bit up and down. It wasn't good enough against the Eagles. So I'm hoping that this can be a good reset game for the offensive line, and it will not just help Matthew Stafford. It'll help in the run game, as well. So that'll be really interesting to look out for. Jake, going back to the receivers, is there any receiver that you feel should be utilized more in this offense? I'm looking at, as I talked about, kind of the forcing the balls, particularly to Adams. I think Nakua has done a really good job, and I think that's to have been expected, kind of the connection between Stafford and Nakua, but we still kind of see Stafford oftentimes trying to force the ball to Devontae Adams, when I would like to see guys utilize more like Tutu Atwell, Jordan Whittington, Tyler Higbee, using our tight ends more, utilizing that, in this offense. There just hasn't been anything in the passing attack that shows that we're going to go to anybody else other than wide receiver 1 and wide receiver 2. Do you expect that the Rams do that this game against the Colts, and that Sean McVay gets a little bit more creative and starts spreading the ball out? Or do you think they're going to stick with what's reliable?
Oh, I definitely think they're going to go with the former there. I think that was the perk. If the Rams gained anything by losing to Philly, it forces Sean McVay to get back under the hood and be like, hey, what's wrong? How do we blow this, right? And, kicking 6 field goals, it's a sign that you're moving the ball downfield. The Colts do this, but at the same time, it's a sign that you're not finishing in the end zone. And so how do you figure that out when you have Puka Nacua, you have Devontae Adams, like you mentioned, Whittington, Atwell, Higbee. You drafted a tight end in the second round who you're barely using. He wasn't even active last week. So how do you figure that out? Here's what I'm going to tell you, okay? Puka Nacua is so reliable all over the field. They tell us that. However, in the red area, for whatever reason, he doesn't get targeted. So they have been force-feeding Devontae Adams. I have the targets in front of me, and they're wild, Alexis. I don't know if you knew this. Puka Nacua leads the league with 35. Okay. Devontae Adams has 28. Only a 46.4 reception percentage for Devontae Adams. So less than 50% of the time he's catching the ball, right? So in addition to that, Kyron Williams, you're going to jump out of your chair when you hear this. Kyron Williams is third on the team in targets right now. Third with 6. Not a lot, right? Higbee has 5. Jordan Whittington is tied with Davis Allen for 4. And Tutu Atwell has 3. So right now, you have a lot of weapons. But the thing that made the Rams great, their offense great, is that, and obviously people will push back because Cooper Kupp, that was a different story in 2021. But the thing that made the offense great, you look back, Josh Reynolds, Robert Woods, Sammy Watkins, Brandon Cooks, Cooper Kupp, Gerald Everett, Tyler Higbee, Todd Gurley, Malcolm Brown, all of these guys were utilized in the passing game. I know they weren't all on the same team, so please you don't need to remind me that Brandon Cooks and Sammy Watkins didn't play on the same team. But the point being, right, is that you would have a Josh Reynolds in there. So you'd balance out Josh Reynolds. Then you would get Cooper Kupp involved. Then you would get Robert Woods involved. Then you run with Todd Gurley. You'd have Gerald Everett, right? The rookie. You would have Tyler Higbee, the veteran. See, like, there's not enough of that. Right now, it's get it to Puka, but I also want to be very clear here that I think it's kind of put them in a tough spot because of how much that they're focused on running 12 personnel, which is 2 tight end sets, and they don't even throw to the tight ends. So there's that. And in addition to that, the offensive line has not been good. It's one of the worst pass protecting operations out there right now. So is it going to get better this week with Avila healthy? Oh, you bet your ass it is. So that's the question, is how much better is it going to get? And so are these long developing plays going to be in play? Because if so, I expect Tutu Atwell to get going in this game. I expect Jordan Whittington to get going in this game, right? And I think what they're going to do following that Eagles game, Alexis, is we're going to see more Jordan Whittington and Tutu Atwell. I think we're going to see Terrence Ferguson. I watched that Colts and Titans game on All 22, and I can tell you Chiga Okonkwo, their tight end, very talented, was wide open the majority of the game. This team will give up yards to tight ends, athletic tight ends. So this is a good game to get Terrence Ferguson going. And I just feel, I mean, I had a feeling last week about Terrence Ferguson. I really have a feeling this week about Terrence Ferguson. I feel like had they won that game last week, okay, they stay the course. But now it's affecting the team. You have to find a way. So I think in the red zone, we see more Puka Nacua. And I think in between the numbers, we see more Jordan Whittington and Tutu Atwell. And those guys are basically splitting that wide receiver 3 role. Jordan Whittington's on the field more to block, but Tutu Atwell's also out there just as much to catch. He's not getting the ball thrown to him. He's just been a clear out guy. I think that changes. I think you can throw on Xavier Howard. I think you can throw on Charvarius Ward, although he's a lot better than Howard. And I still say Kenny Moore being out in this game is going to be huge. Now, Cameron Bynum and Nick Cross, I think that's one of the best safety duos in the National Football League, so that remains to be seen. But Joe Bocci, who came on our show years ago, and also, oh my God, I'm blanking on his name, but they're linebackers. There's an issue. Zaire Franklin, they don't cover that well. So I think this is a huge opportunity to get Ferg going, opportunity to get Tyler Higbee going, although he's questionable, and so is Parkinson. But really, if you're looking for kind of the X factor this week, it's Jordan Whittington. I really believe that.
Yeah, sorry, I'm having my connection issues. But yeah, I just think that they need to spread the ball out. You bring up Ferguson, and I think that this is as good a game as ever, to get him involved. Coming off of, the loss last week, I think that you've got to start utilizing your tight ends. And if it's not going to be Higbee, if it's not, Allen, sorry, I combined Davis and Allen and said Alice.
I love it. We're just going to call him Alice from now on.
Let's please not.
No,
I'm sorry, Davis
I'm
Allen.
I'm kidding.
Yeah, no. But I mean, he got the touchdown, but other than that, you're not really utilizing your tight ends. And listen, I rewatched the Eagles game in its entirety because I'm a masochist. So I wanted to go and relive all of that pain, right? And just make it hurt. And it was bad. And part of the reason it was bad is because we weren't throwing the ball to our receivers. We weren't diversifying the receiver set. And so I think that you're right. I think that Sean McVay is going to utilize more receivers this game. I would love for Terrence Ferguson to be active. And you know what? Somebody in the chat just brought up the fact, like Tyler Warren, Ferguson versus Warren. Let's have it be a rookie tight end day. Hopefully, obviously, Tyler Warren doesn't have a successful day. We'll talk about that later. But let's see Ferguson get involved because it doesn't seem like the Rams are really even prioritizing the tight end position right now based on what they've done the first 3 games. So I don't think he's taking any reps or spots from anybody if they decide to get creative there. But I know Rams fans would love to see him. He's their 2nd round pick.
Yeah, of course. I'm kind of at the point where it's like, why isn't he out there? When it'd be one thing if Tyler. See, that's actually something I want to point out. I understand he was banged up. I get that, right? But you are dealing with an offense right now where the tight end room has their leading target guy with 6 in Tyler Higbee and 4 with Davis Allen. Okay. If you told me ahead of time before the season started, Terrence Ferguson isn't going to have a target in the first 3 weeks. I would say, okay, so Tyler Higbee probably has 15 at this point, maybe 20, right? They're just utilizing Higbee more. No, they're just not using the tight end. It's like, well, if you're going to run 12 personnel, which is 2 tight end sets, at an 11th highest clip in the league, you need to throw to the tight ends. It's like, oh, yeah, I'm going to run play action, but I'm never going to run the football. You know what defenses are going to do? Laugh at you, because they're literally not going to sit there and be like, oh, he might run it. There's no hesitation. I'm going to absolutely kill your quarterback because now I know you never run the ball. You're not going to run the ball, right? If you don't throw to your tight ends, then they're just window dressing. And that's what the Rams are doing.
Well,
So that becomes an issue because now you can key in on an Adams. You can key in on a Puka, right? So that's something that has to be, that has to be fixed. They have to utilize the tight ends more. I don't understand. Love Sean McVay, but I don't understand how somebody that came from the background of coaching tight ends seems to underutilize them. I don't get it. You look at any team that struggles in the red zone, do you know what they do? They start throwing the tight ends. Do you know why? Because they're offensive linemen that can block. That means they can get open. They can move around. They can box out defenders. They got strong hands normally. I mean, like the Ravens with Mark Andrews the other night, 2 touchdowns for him. Another 2 touchdown game. What was it? Hunter Henry, right? Against the Steelers.
Yeah.
He had 2 touchdowns.
Yeah.
So it's like, you got to take advantage when you have that big body target. Look at the Cardinals. They run their offense through Trey McBride. Like, you have to utilize them.
Yeah, and I think the thing, when Ferguson isn't getting utilized, right? I mean, you look at this tight end room, you've got Higbee, Parkinson, Allen, Ferguson. So the argument, I think originally was, oh, well, there's 3 tight ends in front of him on the depth chart, right? Maybe that makes sense.
Yeah.
But they're not using those tight ends. So it's like, then what's the hesitation there? If what you're using, you're not liking and isn't working, go ahead and throw your second round pick in there, I think which is what a lot of people are saying, especially one that whose role is, I think, supposed to be more of that hybrid receiving tight end. If you're struggling with finding guys to throw the ball to and to make plays for you in the passing game, seems like the kind of guy that you might want to give a shot. So we'll see. I mean, I really hope that he's active on Sunday, and I expect him to be. What do we know right now, right? I mean, we'll have to see. But if he's not active Sunday, that will be, I'll be very disappointed in that mom wave. Like, I'm not mad, I'm just disappointed. Like, I'll be super bummed. Like, but yeah, I think that we're on the same page of what the Rams need to do offensively and what we think they're going to do. So let's look at the defense.
I'm sure you enjoyed watching Arroyo, by the way, get involved in the passing attack last night. I know that was one of your guys,
he was, and I really wanted the Rams to draft him. And didn't they? I'd have to really look back on this, but I think Seattle drafted him like right after the Rams picked, right? Or it was something crazy.
It might have been.
It might not.
I thought it was like a round later, but you could be right. I mean, my guy was Fannin, and he's looked really good with Joe Flacco.
Yeah.
No offense, Joe, you've accomplished a lot, but I can't believe the Browns are sending out a 41-year-old quarterback right now.
Yeah, I mean, I really wanted him, and the Seahawks sniped him because every receiver or tight end
Torrey
Horton. The Seahawks get. Yep, I really wanted him too, and he's looking great with the Seahawks. But let's move on from things that cause me pain. Let's talk about the Rams defense, who, as we talked about in the episode when we recapped the game against the Eagles, really did, for the majority of the game, everything that we could have asked. They had a great game. They unfortunately, had some sequences where they collapsed, especially towards the end. Wasn't a perfect game, but the Rams defense looks really, really good. And they weren't, in my opinion, the main reason that the Rams lost to Philadelphia. Jake, going into this game and facing the Colts offense, led by Daniel Jones, was a guy a lot of people counted out. Struggled with the New York Giants. Now he's in Indianapolis, and is 3-0 with them. They've got Jonathan Taylor, one of the best running backs in the game on that offense. He's looked really good this season. A guy like Michael Pittman, also on that offense. Alec Pierce, you mentioned, is going to be out, but they got Josh Downs at receiver as well. Adonai Mitchell, and then Tyler Warren, who we talked about earlier, that rookie tight end, first round pick. Jake, what do you think the Rams defense needs to focus on against this Indianapolis offense to shut them down?
This is going to be a little surprising, but I actually think so. Daniel Jones, and I've watched every throw he's made this year. And the thing that I've noticed is that blitz or not blitzed, pressure or no pressure, I mean, he's done a nice job of just keeping his eyes downfield. He doesn't give up on a play like he used to with the Giants where you just take off and run. Running is his last-ditch effort to keep the play alive. It's actually been a very, very fun watch if you're into watching quarterbacks that make good decisions. And I'll tell you right now, when it comes to Daniel Jones, I don't think it's as simple as just blitzing him. I think a lot of people want it to be that simple, but it's not. He's done well against the blitz. Chris Shula was having so much success blitzing guys like Jalen McCullough and having Kobe Durant and Cameron Kinchins, right? Like blitzing those guys last week against the Eagles, the first half. The second half, the blitzing wasn't working. They weren't getting there. If you don't get home, that just means that now Jalen Hurts is throwing to a defensive backfield that is depleted because you've sent those guys on the run. The entire point of a blitz is either the ball gets out quick enough where it's going to hit the ground and it's going to be an incomplete pass, or you get home and actually hit the quarterback and knock the ball out or sack the quarterback. If you don't get any of those three things to happen, most of the time, any quarterback worth his salt in the NFL, especially a Super Bowl winning quarterback, is going to find the guy that's open in the zone. And that's the issue. So Daniel Jones, I don't care what anyone says. I do feel like there are people out there like, this is going to be like Sam Darnold all over again. And I'm not going to say that it can't be that way, but I don't believe it is going to be that way. I think we got to put some respect on Daniel Jones' name. I think we got to put some respect on Shane Steichen, the job he's done. Daniel Jones, this is how you're going to beat him. You're going to rush you're going to get through, you're going to take advantage of the fact that Goncaves is out, so it's Dalton Tucker projected at right guard, right? We know Braden Smith is really good at right tackle. We know Bernard Ryman is really good at left tackle. We know Quentin Nelson is Quentin frickin' Nelson. We know Tanner Brodolini because that's one of the guys that we really liked, obviously, and, we interviewed him. So, that said, this is a very good offensive line, but I still imagine that the Rams are going to be able to get 4. They're going to be able to get pressure on Daniel Jones. They will throw in some creative and exotic looks and blitzes, and I get that. But if you blitz all game long, Daniel Jones will pick you apart. And also, he's got the speed to get out of the pocket. So if he does get blitzed and he gets pressured, well, now he can run. And do not sleep on this guy's legs, right? So I'll just say, I think that's the course of action. You don't want to blitz him. I think the big thing in this one, I have no doubt that Braden Fisk is going to have a big game. I feel like he's finally going to be back to health this week. And I love the linebackers. I think this could be a big day for Spates. I think this could be a big day for Landman. But the key here, Quentin Lake just came off the best game of his career after having the best game of his career before that. He looks like a superstar right now. He does. He genuinely looks like one of the best defensive backs in football. And Cam Curl and Cam Kinchins look very good. The corners are a concern. Now, they looked good. Don't get me wrong. Like, the corners looked good in that first half. But it was mainly because of the pressure. They weren't able to they didn't have to really cover on an island type deal. Well, A.J. Brown, the biggest issue was trying to tackle him up top, trying to punch the ball out, and then he just runs with the ball afterwards and makes huge plays after the catch, and it cost him on that final drive. Well, this week, Michael Pittman Jr., 6'4", all 6'4" of him is going to be a problem, okay? He's going to be a problem. Josh Downs is 5'9", but he's shifty enough where he's faster than your linebackers. He's faster than your DBs. He can make plays. Then you got Tyler Warren, who doesn't go down on first contact. He's going to be a problem, and we all know him because everybody wanted him on the Rams. And then You have Adonai Mitchell, who is, in my opinion, the biggest wild card of this offense. He's barely been utilized. And so I look at Adonai Mitchell as, okay, this is somebody, we know the speed, we know the route running ability, we know the potential because he was one of the highest rated prospects for a lot of different people coming out. That said, he hasn't really gotten going in the NFL yet. This could be a coming out party for him. So these are weapons, Alexis. This is not easy. And guess what? The most important guy I didn't even name, Jonathan Taylor. Jonathan Taylor is back to 2021 Jonathan Taylor, where you have the contact balance. You got the explosive. Do you know why? Because for the first time since 2021, he's confirmed he's fully healthy. So if you thought it was hard against Saquon last week, I said this on another show. I said, look, I think Jonathan Taylor right now, currently on, I said yesterday, but September 25th, today is the 26th. Currently on September 26th, Jonathan Taylor is better than Saquon Barkley, currently. Now, over the course of the year, that might change. But the Jonathan Taylor that I watched on tape, he's back. And it's not just, oh, yeah, the offensive line's blocking well. They're blocking well. But you watch that run, I think it's 27-13, 27-14, around that. And you just see him rip open the game. Alexis, did you see that? He spun, moved. He had like a spin move on two guys. And then he broke like 5 tackles on that run and housed it. That's the problem, is as well as the Rams have been tackling, he's just got the perfect size and speed combo at the position. He could break open the game. So the hope is that they're going to sell out, stop the run, and that'll be that. But we'll see.
Yeah, I'm on the same page. I mean, I think that the game plan in essence could be very similar to what they tried to do with the Eagles is, shutting down your star running back and not allowing the quarterback to run on you. I think almost a very similar vibe from last week is where I think if they can shut down Jonathan Taylor, they can not let Daniel Jones move because he's very good with his legs and force him to throw the ball, then they can figure out maybe how to stop this defense. But then that raises the question of the secondary. Are they going to be able to kind of lock down some of these receivers? You mentioned Michael Pittman. No idea, how the Rams are going to choose to encounter that. We know that this defense historically gives up yardage to tight ends. You've got Tyler Warren you're going against. So it is going to be very interesting to see how the Rams approach this. But I think that I feel good about their chances. And especially, it's going to be interesting to see the defensive front if they can keep up the heat. And Braden Fisk is from Indiana, but I think he's from northern Indiana. I don't have this in front of me. So it's kind of, even though they're playing in California, I'm wondering if he grew up a Bears fan or a Colts fan. I almost want to say he actually grew up a Bears fan. So this might be, I feel like I saw this story somewhere because he's from
already
northern
on the
Indiana.
He's on the cover of the thumbnail. I feel like it's going to be a big day for Fisk. I don't know why.
I hope it is. I mean, he's playing against Indiana's team and he's from Indiana. So whether he was a Colts fan or a Bears fan, hey, it still counts for something. But Jake, I want to get into our predictions and we've got some help, right?
Yeah. No, and I mean, before we get into that, just quick word from Matthew.
Thank you,
Thank
Matthew.
you for the 20. We appreciate you. As a former offensive lineman, it does matter who is beside you. Continuity, trust, and camaraderie all matters. I've been saying this.
It's
Alexis, you'll appreciate this callback to the St. Louis Rams, Joe Barksdale. Okay. I swear to this day, Joe Barksdale was a good right tackle being held back by Davin Joseph. Davin Joseph was a good player on Tampa. Over the hill when he got to the Rams, because the Rams always did that. They would sign guys that would have been Scott Wells, right? These guys that were like studs, but they'd get them at the end of their career and they wouldn't play as well. Davin Joseph was such a turnstile. It destroyed Joe Barksdale's career in St. Louis. They cut him. He went over to the Chargers, San Diego at the time, and actually ended up being their starter and played pretty well. So, yeah, I always think back to that. I always think back to him because I was like, they had something there. And Davin struggled
Just didn't
so
work.
much that it just you kind of get clumped in with the mess, right? So yeah, it's frustrating. And that was back in the day where I think what was it PFF didn't have all these nice little databases and everything. It was just one spreadsheet and it had a bunch of numbers and color coding and oh my god, I remember the original one. But yeah, that's pretty much all I had to say about that point. But yeah, let's dive into Sleeper. Get $100 deposit match up to $100 using the code JKB. And over on Sleeper, you guys can check out, you can sign up. Link is in the description below. And you guys can sign up and you could play right away. You get this match, play right away. And let's just say if you are feeling good about Blake Corum or Kyron Williams, I mean, you can, play on touchdowns and passing yards and rushing yards and receiving yards and all that good stuff. So be sure to head on over to Sleeper if you haven't already. Sign up with the code JKB and get a $100 deposit match up to $100. So, Alexis, it's that time. It's prediction time.
You want to go first?
Ladies first.
All right. So, getting into our 3 predictions. I think we are going to see a Jordan Whittington touchdown this game. It's my first prediction. I wish it didn't have to be that bold of a prediction, but based on the way the first 3 games have gone, we're going to count it as a bold prediction because the red zone hasn't been too hot. We haven't been feeding really any other receivers other than Nakua and Adams. So I think that's going to change this game. And I think Jordan Whittington is going to score a touchdown. Defensively, I'm going to say Kobe Durant interception.
Okay.
I feel good about that. I would like to, because I think if we can put pressure on Daniel Jones to throw, I think it could happen. Shut down the run, force him to throw. We get an interception. The defense is going to have to step up for us this game as well. I think that until we can see the offense prove that they can get hot and score in the red zone, I think that these Rams games are going to be very defensively driven. So I'd like to see some turnovers on defense. I feel good about an interception there. This is a bold one, guys. I'm really going for it on this one. But I think the Rams are going to block a kick this game.
Oh.
That's
Damn.
poetic. And I'm not saying it's going to be like a game winner. I think that the Rams are going to have that extra motivation on special teams to show that they can do it too. So I think the Rams are going to block a kick. So that one's my little fun delusional bold one, but
damn. Yeah, I like it. I like it. The last time, as you know, somebody on here called out something like that. It happened. So I'm hoping you are right. Now I'm hoping it doesn't go the opposite where it's like, oh yeah, the Rams got a kick blocked. Which, by the way, Grover Stewart did block Joey Sly's kick last week, and of course Grover Stewart plays for the Colts, so it doesn't end. I'll throw one thing to kind of support your argument there. Now, you can look at it in 2 ways. You can look at it, okay, yeah, the Eagles, they did their job, they were just better, whatever. Or you can look at it, the Rams messed up. I think the Rams are going to take something from this. I think they're going to look at, okay, maybe the positioning and how they were lined up, we don't do that. Maybe we should start doing that. I think you could see one. I get it. I totally understand it. All right, here's what I'm going to go with. I'm going to say in this game, Braden Fisk gets 6 pressures and 2 sacks. Okay? I'm very high on Braden Fisk. I think he's most likely going to line up around Tucker, the right guard that's filling in for Gone Caves, Dalton Tucker. I think that's a beautiful matchup for him. So I think we're going to see 2 sacks, 6 pressures from Braden Fisk, who there's some people out there forgetting what Braden Fisk did last year. He's been banged up to start the year, and now they're like over him. They're like, oh, I don't know why he's even going to play, whatever. Come on now. he's a really good player. He's just been banged up. And keep in mind, he got hurt in that Eagles playoff game. So the fact that he's even back is huge because that was a season-ending injury. He would not have been able to play the next game or the game after that or 5 games after that even. So that's the thing. Braden Fisk, 2 sacks, 6 pressures. I'm going to go with, let's see here. I am going to go with, we're going to see a Puka Nacua red zone touchdown. I know that's hard to believe, but we are going to see a Puka Nacua red zone touchdown. You might not have known this, guys, but the Colts are 26th in red zone touchdown scoring, so that's good. But in addition to that, they're the worst red zone defense in terms of success rate. They've allowed a touchdown every single red zone opportunity this year. So while I'm very high on the Colts, if this isn't a get-right game for the red zone offensive operation, I don't know what is. You're going up against a team that literally does not stop teams from scoring touchdowns when they enter the red area. So we'll find out, but I think we're going to see a Puka Nacua touchdown. And then last but not least, I'm going to say we get a deep bomb to Tutu Atwell. I think we see a 50-plus yard bomb to Tutu Atwell to get him going. Whether it's a touchdown or not doesn't matter. It's a bold prediction because Tutu Atwell has 3 targets and has only caught 1 pass for 2 yards. So we'll take it. So not as crazy in this one. Fisk, maybe some people would say 2 sacks and 6 pressures is pretty crazy. Daniel Jones hasn't been sacked very often. But, and Puka Nacua, that wouldn't be a bold thing, except Puka Nacua's touchdowns are almost always on explosive plays and not in the red area. I just think something's got to give here. You already went with Whittington. I'm expecting a big game out of Whittington. I think they're going to use him in the slot. I think they're going to take advantage of Mike Hilton out there or Mekhi Blackman, whoever they end up going with. But I like where the Rams are at in this one. I think some good things are going to happen, but that's what I got.
Well, I hope you're right about the Atwell touchdown. I just feel like you and I one of us always throws that in there. I think that was my prediction
Not a
last
touchdown.
week.
It just has to be a 50-plus yard play.
Okay, that's fair.
Then we're good.
I hope you're right.
Yes.
I just have been burned too many times.
I get it.
But yeah, those are our predictions. Jake, you want to get into score predictions? I've got mine.
I'll throw another bonus one. I think Terrence Ferguson's going to catch 4 passes in this game. That's bold because he hasn't caught a damn pass. He hasn't even had a pass his way. 4 of them. 4
passes as your secret 4th.
Yes.
Prediction.
4+, we'll say. Because I don't get it wrong. If he gets like 6, be like, okay, yeah, Jake is the one that said like, yeah. So there we go. 4+ passes caught. All right, let's move on to the score prediction.
So I think that the Rams are going to win this 24-17.
I like the 7-point win. I'm going to go with 30-23. I think the Rams offense gets going. I don't think they stop. I think then it becomes more the Colts. The Colts do a great job of driving down the field. Here's the thing that could bode really well for the Rams. They have a 35.1% success rate, which is not good, by the way, on 3rd and long. And the Rams defense typically is not great on 3rd and long. So something has to give. Something. I do think that the Rams are going to be able to slow down this Colts offense a little bit. And so I got 30-23. And I don't know who's going to score the go-ahead touchdown to win the game or whatever, but I feel like the Rams will be in control of this game. But it'll look close in the end because it's the Rams, and they always do that. That's what I'm thinking.
Well, we're both predicting a Rams win.
Yeah.
And that's what matters. That's what matters, is that we win the game. I don't care how we do it. I just want the win. I want to be 3-1.
I got a bonus one, by the way. There's one NFC West team playing aside from the Rams. I'm going to say that the Jacksonville Jaguars beat Brock Purdy and the 49ers. I think Jacksonville moves to 3-1.
Agree.
I'm not high on
Hey,
Trevor
I hope
Lawrence.
so.
This is not an admission of guilt. Like, oh yeah, I was wrong. No, I was right. Trevor Lawrence isn't as good as a lot of people said that he was. But Jaguars defense is legit. Look out for Jordan Lewis. Look out for Tyson Campbell. Look out for Josh Hines Allen. Look out for Trayvon Walker. It's legit over there, right? Foya Lucan and Devin Lloyd. No, I think Jacksonville, that's going to be a close game, and I think Jacksonville is going to find a way to beat the 49ers with Brock Purdy in his return. Mark my words. Travis Hunter catches a touchdown. Right. There we go. So
now you're throwing out bold predictions for not even.
I'm just all over the place. I'm off my rocker over here. I'm just ready for football.
All right, before you get too crazy, we got some supers.
Yes, we do. So we're gonna hit on those. Alex, love Alex, appreciate you. Quick note: earlier in the pod, AK said Allison, but clearly had Allison from House of Dragon on her mind due to a very small obsession with her. It's probably true. I'm bullish on that.
I'll be totally honest. Everyone knows how I feel about Allison Hightower, okay? We don't need to get into it. But I didn't think of her when I was saying it, but for sure after I said Alice, I thought about it. But I truthfully just stumbled through Davis and Allen and combined them.
It happens.
I don't know how that happened. And you know what? It wouldn't be the first time I've done that on this show, combining someone's first and last name. It has happened probably 3 to 4 times, like semi-recently. It is what it is.
Yeah.
But thank you, Alex, and shout out Allison Hightower.
I had to look it up, and now I wish I didn't. House of the Dragon Season 3 isn't back until potentially summer 2026.
Oh, it'll for sure at least be summer 2026. There's no way. They're still filming it right now.
That's insane.
I know.
It'll be worth it. Just hopefully they finish the House of the Dragon series before, I'm married and have kids, but we'll see.
Probably not.
Craig, appreciate the 5. Can I make a pick? Thank you,
Craig.
Corum scores from 25 to 30 yards out. I like that. I like you shooting your shot.
It's a good one.
Yeah, we appreciate you, Craig. Long-time viewer and supporter of the channel and a member. We got both members there. So appreciate you guys with the supers. This will be a fun game. The Colts, they're way better than I anticipated them being. I just want to make that very clear. They are way better than I thought they were going to be. And when you watch the film, Daniel Jones going up against that Denver Broncos defense, that was legit. I'm not as high on the Dolphins. Like the Titans, I like some of the things that they have, but I think the Colts are legit. And I think they're probably going to win that division because of how poorly the Texans got off to. And to be fair, the Texans played the Rams and Bucs, who I think are 2 of the best teams in the NFC. But that said, the Rams aren't going to overlook this game. So if you think for a second that they're looking ahead to the 49ers game, I'd happily remind you they went to the Titans and they beat the Titans and they left points on the board on purpose, and they never looked ahead to the Eagles game. No sign of that. This is not that team. They know what they need to do. They know what's required. They know what it takes to win a Super Bowl. There's no looking ahead. So just wanted to make that clear. There will be no looking ahead to the Thursday night game against the 49ers, which, of course, they will win. But that's all I got there.
I agree. And I can't wait to watch. Hopefully we have a great game on Sunday and a victory Monday. Jake and I will be tuned in. We'll be back Monday night recapping that game. But guys, as always, if you like what you hear, please like and subscribe. You can follow us on social media at Downtown Rams. We got a super that just came in.
Buzzer beaters
pause
here.
this outro. Buzzer beater from
Rams best uni combo. Thoughts on a rebrand? I'd pass on a rebrand. Let it let it simmer, let it cook. But as far as the uni combo, what they're going to wear this weekend. The blue with the yellow pants. I'm really that simple. I think it's the best uniform in the National Football League. It's the best when it was the regular uniforms, and I think it's the best now. So, yeah. I don't know. What are your thoughts, Alexis?
I like the white jerseys,
You like the modern throwback?
the modern throwback. I like the white.
Yeah. Yellow
It's my
pants, I
favorite.
assume.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I agree. I will give him credit.
Mhm.
The all blues, they go well because you have the gradient in the numbers, which I don't necessarily love, but you have the gradient down the pant leg. So there is actually like, there's some contrast there. It's just more so, I don't know. If you have a chance to wear the all blues or the yellow pants, I think you go with the yellow pants every single time, personally. But that said, yeah, that would be our favorite uni combinations. And Matthew, thank you for the 5. Oh, Jake, I knew damn well it
Thank you,
wasn't
Matthew.
for you because of Trevor. He isn't what I expected either, but I think he is capable of going off, possibly. I think Robert Saleh is going to throw the kitchen sink and then some at him. Very good defensive coordinator, but I don't think it's going to matter because I think the Jaguars in a very defensive, a tight defensive battle are going to find a way to get it done. I'm expecting a big turnover late in the game from Brock Purdy, who, by the way, like, anyone see that throw he made first week of the year? He's throwing into quadruple coverage. No idea what he was thinking. I think it's going to be something like that. So, but Matthew, appreciate you. Everyone else, appreciate you. Alexis, you have the floor.
Yep. Well, guys, as always, if you like what you hear, please like and subscribe. You can follow me on Twitter at @thealexiscraft. You can follow Jake at JKBogan. And guys, we will be back Monday night recapping this game. But as always, stay safe, take care, and go Rams.